got one thing right, it was you and me.
Hello everyone, my name is Naima and welcome back to my channel, or two if you are new. And today we are gonna go way back to September and October and talk about all the books that I read during those months. No, August and September. I have not filmed a wrap up in 2 months, and since then I've read a total of about 9 books. I have been really busy moving in and everything. I feel like I talk about this in every single one of my videos, but I have not been filming wrap-ups. So I thought I'd do a little bit of a recent read to get you guys up to date with what I've been reading. I read some amazing books in August and some really amazing books in September as well, even though there wasn't many. But I'm super excited to talk to you guys about them today. And yeah, without further ado, let's get right into this video. So I can't remember if I talked about The Wife Upstairs in my July wrap up, because I finished that literally on August 1st, and sometimes I'll like carry over the book. So just in case, I'm not going to talk about it because there's no point, and I have a feeling I talked about it. So we're gonna jump right into The Spy. So I read this one on August 2nd, and it's safe to say that The Spy by Sophie Lark is one of my favorite books of the entire year. This book just was everything to me. It was such a good way to wrap up my favorite series ever, which is the Kingmaker series. It was everything and more. I loved who the spy was. I was not expecting it at all. It was such a big mystery to me, and I was pleasantly surprised. It honestly was such a good wrap up. The conclusion, everything about this, I just am so obsessed with this world, and to see it wrapped up so nicely just satisfied me so much. So I can't give much away about what this book is about. Just know that it is the conclusion to the Kingmaker series, that it was amazing, that it was show-stopping, that it was brilliant, and I couldn't have asked for a better book and a better way to wrap up my favorite series. So I can't give anything spoilery away, but go read this series if you haven't already. You will not regret it. Everybody who I've told to read this series has just fell in love with it, and it makes me so happy when people read books that I love. So if you haven't read it, go read it. It's amazing. The next book that I read in August was the Spanish love deception 𝓼𝓸𝓬𝓲𝓪, and I rated this one 2 stars, sadly. And I wanted to love it so much because everybody has been hyping the crap out of this book. And really, it was just so boring to me. That is the only reason why I can say. I found it so incredibly long-winded. I did not enjoy it at all. It is a fake dating book about this girl who works at this company, and the book starts off with her having like this huge crisis because she has to go back home to Spain to attend her sister's wedding, and her ex-boyfriend will be there with his girlfriend or new wife or something like that, but she doesn't want to go to the wedding single, and she doesn't want everybody to look at her like, oh, poor girl, she used to date him and now he's with someone else, and now she's here at this wedding alone. So her coworker is overhearing like the conversation and is like, I'll go with you. And it's this huge fake dating fiasco adventure to Spain in order to save butt for her sister's wedding. It's very much like dislike two lovers. Like, these two do not like each other, or at least the heroine does not like the hero like at all. He boils her blood, he like makes her incredibly angry all the time, and yeah, they don't like each other to begin with. I didn't like how it was enemies to lovers, but there was no hate. Like, I need to see people going for the throats of another person, and they're like they didn't hate each other. It was very much dislike. And if it's enemies to lovers, they need to hate each other for me to enjoy it, at least. And I really thought the main character Lena, her inner monologue was so long and so boring and just so exaggerated, and it was the same thing over and over and over again. So unfortunately, I gave this book 2 stars. I did not enjoy it. I know I'm in the minority with this one, and that's completely fine. I don't know what I just need more hate. I need more like I want to kill this person. I just found her to be incredibly boring, and the whole story to be incredibly boring, and her inner monologue went for pages and pages, and it just drove me crazy. So this was not for me. I'm gonna leave it at that. So the next book that I read was Carnal Secrets by Suzanne Wright, and this was the 3rd book in the Phoenix Pack series. And once in a while, I like to read one of the books in this series whenever I'm in a paranormal mood. I personally love werewolves when it comes to like paranormal romances. They just I just love werewolves. So yeah, once in a while I'll pick up one of the books in her series whenever I'm in the mood. And sadly to say that this book is my least favorite so far. This book is about two mates. One of them is in the Phoenix pack, and then one of them is the alpha for another pack. Not exactly enemies with the Phoenix pack, but they're obviously in different packs or whatever. So they find out that they're mates, and instantly the hero, he doesn't talk to her. He kind of gives you like a cold shoulder, and that hurts when you're like mated to someone and they're not giving you the time of day. Like your inner wolf feels it really intensely or something like that. So what happens is she ends up leaving the pack to go to stay in New York. She's moving away from the pack. She's a lone wolf now basically, and right as she decides to leave, he's like, where is she? I want her. And his whole reasoning behind like not, which isn't a spoiler, you find this out right away, his whole reason for not wanting to like do the mating bond and be with her is because she is a submissive wolf and he is obviously an alpha, so he's a dominant wolf. And because she's submissive, he felt like if he were to bring her into his pack, then everybody would be challenging her constantly, because in this world, if you're a submissive wolf, especially a submissive wolf in like a higher rank, as is like being the alpha's mate, you will be challenged constantly. So what happens is he's kind of just like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do. And she just feels so rejected and so hurt inside. She's like, I'm gonna leave, because since they're both in like different packs, but they're always kind of like around each other, they always have business together, the two packs. So she's like, I just need to leave, I just need to get away. And so she does, and as she's doing that, he realizes, you know what, I'm just gonna leave my pack behind and go for her, go get my mate. And so when he goes to the pack to go get her, they're like, she's gone. And so he spends like months trying to track her down, and he finally does. And she isn't so easy to forgive because he really hurt her, and it's kind of like groveling. He has to really work for her forgiveness, for like rejecting her and hurting her so badly. So that was the vibe with that one. I didn't like it. I don't mind a grovel, but I don't love a grovel. So when the entire novel is just the hero groveling, it gets a little bit boring, you know. Like, this is definitely my least favorite. My favorite so far is definitely the first one, and the second one is super close behind. Like, I love this series for a good werewolf moment. And yeah, sadly this one was not it for me, but I am excited to pick up the fourth one whenever I'm in a werewolf mood again. But yeah, this one I rated 3 stars. The next book that I read was Twisted Games by Anna Huang, and this is the second book in the Twisted series. And I actually read Twisted Love a few months back, and I didn't enjoy that, but it's safe to say that I actually enjoyed this one so much more than the first book. This is like a princess bodyguard romance between a girl who's a college student, and she's like a princess, but by name she's not really actively a princess, but she still needs a bodyguard while she's in college in the States. Something happens within her family where she needs to take over the princess role and become like queen or something like that. It's been a while, I'm sorry. Reese is the heroine's bodyguard for years, and they used to really not like each other, but then that not liking each other has turned into tension and lust and like, oh, I care about you. Yeah, while she is still in her college years, she finds out that like, guys, this one wasn't memorable for me, actually, I will say, but I did rate it 4 stars because I enjoyed it in the moment. From what I remember, he has these rules, and one of them is do not become emotionally attached to whoever he's working for. And so anyways, something happens, yada yada yada. They have this tension for years, and then they give in right before he is supposed to no longer be her bodyguard or something like that, because when she finds out that she has to become the queen of her small country, made up country or something like that, he decides like not to go with her at first. And guys, I'm struggling. All I remember about this book, I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys, all I remember about this book is the smut. The smut was really good, and I loved like the jealousy aspects in here. I love the protectiveness, I love the possessiveness. Everything about this was really good from what I remember, but that's all I remember. The plot, all I know is that she's a princess, but not really by practice, and then she has to become like a queen or like a high-ranking princess or something like that. He decides, I'm not going with her, so before she has to go off and do her duties or whatever, they like hook up, and then she goes off to do her duties, and then he joins maybe. I really cannot remember. I'm sorry, I just remember the smut, and the smut was really good. So if you are looking for a book that has amazing smut and a pretty good storyline, I say pick it up, but I can't remember. I'm sorry, I just gotta be honest. I was gonna read, like, I'm too lazy for that. I don't remember, but the smut was really good. So I rated it 4 stars, if that's any help. But I'm pretty sure everybody and their mother has read this series at this point. It's been really popular recently, so I don't know. Read it, I guess. I don't remember. So the next book that I read was Cruel and Careless by Bailey Nicole. This is the first book in the Worthless Boys series, and I read this book for the dark romance readathon that I hosted with a few other booktubers here on booktube, YouTube, obviously. And so this book is really, really good. This is an romance, and it is between 2 boys from kind of like the bad side of town, the wrong side of the tracks, and these 2 struggle a lot in their day-to-day life. We have this boy, and his parents are divorced, and so he's coming back home to his dad's house after spending a few weeks with his mom and her boyfriend, and that was craziness. And so he finally comes back home, and things are getting kind of back to normal. His home life with his dad is not good at all. His dad is super depressed. He's super depressed and anxious, and his life isn't enjoyable. He barely has food in the fridge or at the table at all. And so, but he's happy because he's back with his friends. And so when he goes to meet up with his friends, he sees that there is a new person in their little dynamic in their friend group. And that is a boy that he has always seen around school. This kid was pretty popular, and he's openly out and gay. Right away, there's like this tension between them, this interest between them, because they're looking at each other in different lights. They've known of each other, they've seen each other around the halls or whatever. They've grown up in the same town, so they know of each other, but things have definitely changed. I will say that this romance is definitely toxic, and there are tons of trigger warnings in here for drug usage, abuse, alcoholism. So yeah, just be aware of that. Ben is the boy that I just described, and he's incredibly depressed. And then Damon is the boy who is the one who's been out for a long time, who doesn't really care what anyone thinks of him. He's just doing what he needs to do to get by, which is drug usage, drug abuse, and just anything to get to the next day, basically. And so they both enter this relationship. It's incredibly toxic because none of them are in their right mind. And I will say, even though it was toxic, this relationship was so beautiful. And just the quotes in here were so stunning. Everything about this book was really great. I was in the mood for a toxic romance, so this served its purpose. But I will say it was toxic because it was just incredibly sad. Like, the things that they had to do just to get by was horrendous. It was a lot. This is definitely one that not everybody's gonna like, but I thought it was so good and just really beautiful and really sad. But the quotes and everything about it, the smut was pretty good also. So yeah, I ended up giving this one 5 stars. It hit like a special place in my heart. Like, I don't know, I really enjoyed these characters and the world. The cover for the second book just came out, and I'm so excited for that book. But yeah, overall, this is a really good book. If you are ever in a mood for a toxic romance, but due to like circumstance, I want to say, then pick up this book. The next book that I read was The Dare by Harley LaRue, and I also read this one for the dark romance readathon, and I ended up giving this book 4 stars. This is a super short, steamy novella, and it was so much fun. I loved this book. So this book is about this girl named Jessica, and she was always known as like the popular cool girl in high school. And so one day, on Halloween one day, she's going to a Halloween party with her high school best friend, and there was a guy there, and this guy is named Manson. I hate it so much. I hate it, but his name is Manson. And in high school, he was very much the kid that was bullied. He was very much the kid that got picked on. But him and Jessica have always had this weird, flirty kind of like attraction towards each other that no one else knew about or picked up on. And yeah, she was not nice to him, like, at all. So they end up at the same Halloween party, and right away there's some eyes, there's some like tension, because obviously all that, they have that in their past, and they decide to play a game of drink or dare. And so the game progresses and progresses and progresses, and it gets really crazy. And his last dare is that she has to be like his, I'm gonna say, servant for the night, and do whatever he wants. She can't say no, and so she ends up losing the game, and she has to be his servant for the night. It's very steamy. I think this is a perfect book to read this Halloween season. First of all, it all takes place at a Halloween party with a guy who is pretty creepy in my opinion. The things he has her do is super degrading, so if you don't like that, I would really stay away. I thought it was really hot though, and a lot of fun, and something really different. I've never read anything like this before. It was really degrading, so just be aware. But it was so much fun, and it was super short, so yeah, I really liked it. This is also very dark romance, so I can't think of any triggers at the moment, but if you do have a trigger, please look into this book and make sure your triggers aren't in here. And then the very first book that I read in September was Haunting Adeline by H.G. Carlton, and I gave this one 5 stars. So after I finished the dare, that was right when I like moved into college, and it was just a lot for me. I was in a little bit of a slump. I'm not a good multitasker, so I was not reading a lot. So this book completely broke my slump, and I'm so grateful because I loved it, and I cannot wait for part 2 of this duet. I'm so excited. So this book is about this girl named Adeline, and she is a writer, she is an author, and she inherits this mansion type place from her grandmother. And so she is moving in. She's always been in love with this house because she remembers being really young there and staying with her grandmother for periods of time and just having so much fun. There's something about the mansion that just really spoke to her, and she was really excited to have inherited the manor. The house is very gothic. It's like on the edge of a cliff. I just loved like the atmosphere of it. It was so much fun. So Adeline discovers her great-grandmother, the mom of her grandmother, she discovers her great-grandmother's diary. And so I live in a city, guys, so if you can hear that, I'm sorry. So the great-grandmother was actually killed, but it was never known who killed the grandmother. So Adeline starts reading her great-grandmother Gigi, her diary that she found one day, and she starts reading through it, and in the diary there is tons of stuff about her having an affair with this guy who has been watching her. And so as this is happening and she's reading the diary in her great-grandmother's words, she is encountering a stalker. Somebody is watching this girl, like watching her, like watching her. Like, it's so creepy. But I love stalker romances, so this just served me so well. So we actually kind of know who the guy is. He sees her first at one of like her signings or something, and he becomes instantly obsessed with her, finds out where she lives, he's watching her, he is sneaking into her house, leaving things for her to find, and it's just so creepy and so excellent, and everything. Everything about this was just so good. It was so much fun because we never really knew when he was gonna pop up or what he was going to do. It really kept me on my toes. I loved it. And so it was crazy because let's say somebody touched Adeline, never heard from that man again, never seen the person who touched Adeline again. It was just so creepy, and I just loved this book so much. It really broke me out of my slump, and the scene was amazing. There's just so much about this that was amazing, and I really like his intentions with stalking her, if that makes sense. Like, he was super obsessed with her, like that's obviously why he did it, but he wanted her to kind of not have a choice but to fall in love with him, and I think it worked really well. I think H.G. Carlton really knows what she's doing when she's writing like kind of like a touchy subject like this, because a lot of people would not have this much fun with stalker romances, and I've read very few stalker romances that I thought were executed nicely, and this was executed like excellently. Like, it was so good. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I loved the gothic vibes, I loved the manor vibes, I love that she was a writer. Everything about this was so good, and I love that her stalker, the hero Zaid, he was actually a really good person on the inside, like really good. He does this work where he I'm not gonna get into it. You guys can find out for yourself, but he is actually such a good person and I love the work that he does, and it's just excellent, 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 excellent. Amazing. Love this book so much. So the next book that I read was The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, and I read this book very shortly after finishing Haunting Adeline, and this book made me behind my schoolwork because I stayed up just to read this book. Gosh, I fell in love with this book. I read it obviously in the fall, and the vibes in here, I don't know what it is, but it's just like the academia setting that really just put me in my element. Like, I was thriving while reading this book. So this book is about this girl named Olive, and she doesn't really believe in romantic relationships. She is someone who has tried them, hasn't worked out, whatever. And so Olive has a best friend who is interested in someone that Olive used to date. And so her best friend is such a good friend that she is not going to go for the guy that Olive used to date, because she's like, no, girl code, and I feel like you're still kind of into him and it just didn't work out. And Olive was like, no, like, I don't want him anymore. You have him. I see the way you guys look at each other. Go for it. And her friend just won't budge. Her friend is like, no, I'm not doing that. But Olive can really see how much they care for each other and want to be with each other. So Olive takes matters into her own hands. One night, Olive last her friend is like, oh, I'm going on a date tonight, da 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 da. She is a PhD student, candidate, biologist, something around there. So her and her best friend spent a lot of time in the labs. So when Olive lied about where she was going to be that night, she decides to go to the lab at their school and get some work done. And she does not expect to see her best friend just rounding the corner as Olive is supposed to be somewhere else on the date. And so Olive kind of panics and kisses the most random guy that she sees right there, because obviously she can't get caught in the lie because everything would unravel. Olive kisses this guy named Adam, and he is actually one of the professors in the program. Not her professor, luckily, but another professor. And so that catapults them into this whole fake dating venture, and it is so amazing because obviously Olive's friends saw them kiss and she's like, what is going on between you and Adam or Dr. Carlson or whoever? And they have to continue the lie, and he is so willing to help her because he has been pining after her for years, people. 4 years. So before Olive got accepted into the PhD program, she was actually in the bathroom after finishing an interview, and she's like crying or something like that. Her contacts went bad, and so a guy enters the bathroom and he's like, what are you doing in my bathroom? And she's like, your bathroom, like, what the heck? And so they have a really good conversation about why she is even joining the PhD program. Does she really want this? What is the reason for her doing this? And obviously she has never seen the guy that she was talking to before because her eyes were blurry, she was crying, her contacts were bad or something like that. She couldn't see anything, and so she never knew who the guy was, and it was him. Obviously it was him. And this book was so amazing. It was just everything about this was so amazing. I loved the academic setting. I'm not someone who likes science, but I thoroughly ate this. I ate this up, and it just brought me so much happiness and joy. This is very much the guy falls first. This guy has been pining for her. Yeah, there's only 2 smut scenes in here, but they were epic. I really enjoyed them a lot. And yeah, everything about this book, it just made me so happy, and it made me so excited to be at university and so excited to be in school. I don't know what it is. It just really motivated me after I was done reading it. After this book put me behind for like 2 to 3 days of my schoolwork. After finishing it, I kicked butt and finished all my work that's next day. Like, I was so motivated. This just drove me. It made me so happy. I really loved it so much, and you guys need to read it. Feel the tinglies. It's fake dating, it's guy falls first, it's everything that I love in a romance novel. So yeah, read it if you have not already. And the next book that I read in August was actually the last book that I'm going to talk about with you guys today, and that is Kiss the Sky by Krista and Becca Ritchie. Thank you, Emmy, for sending this to me for my birthday. My birthday is actually tomorrow, so when this video goes up, it's October 16th. So yeah, this was really sweet. Thank you so much. And I like squealed when I opened this book, because I was posting this all over my stories, tweeted about it, which I never do. Did I tweet about it or did I just retweet something? I don't remember. But this book is my favorite so far in the Addicted / Calloway Sisters series. This book follows Rose and Connor, and this book is everything to me. Everything. Wow, I need to reread it and annotate it. I'm so excited to be back, and I just need to reread this book. Like, I have a feeling I'm gonna read it at least 2 more times before this year is over, and I am thoroughly excited about it. Connor and Rose were a couple that we read about during the first 3 books in the Addicted series, and I really didn't think I would enjoy their book as much as I did, but boy, was I wrong. I was just really wrong. I loved this book. Rose and Connor were unexpected. I love their dynamic. I love seeing their points of views on everyone else in the friend group. It just really made me so happy, especially Connor's. Like, sometimes he would just say something about someone and I would burst into tears. I cried so much while reading Kiss the Sky. So I can't give too much away about this book because I don't want to give any spoilers, because this is like the 4th book in a combined series. So if you haven't read it, I don't want to give it away, but just know that this book made me incredibly happy. It made me sob, and hopefully this motivates you to pick up the Addicted / Calloway Sisters series. And if you have already read like the 1st or 2nd book or however many books, keep going to get to this book, because this book, epic, like so good. I was shocked. I was hooked. I could not put it down. Every time I would leave the house, I'd be like, oh, I want to go home and read this book because it was so good, and I'm gonna cry thinking about it. So yeah, all I can say is read this book. I'm so excited to read. I actually read Daisy's book, but I ended up reading that in October, so we will talk about that later. Now I'm on Thrive, which is the back in the addicted world, so I'm so excited to read next Rose and Connor book because they just brought me so much happiness and joy. I love them so incredibly much. Makes me so happy. And yeah, thank you, Emmy, so much for this book. I'm so excited to reread this. And obviously that book was 5 stars, obviously. So those are all the books that I read in August and September. I didn't read many, but the ones I did, most of them I loved thoroughly, like so much. I'm getting into the groove of things here, so I'm excited to read more and more and more. I've already read a few books in October, which is really surprising for me. Maybe that means I'm behind in my studies. I don't want to talk about it, but I am reading. So yeah, there's that. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, don't forget to leave a big like and a comment down below and tell me some of the books that you guys read in August and September, and also in October. If you read a really good book recently, let us know down below. I feel kind of out of the loop of what people are really enjoying right now, what's super popular right now. But yeah, keep me updated with what you guys are reading. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon with another video. Bye.
If I got one thing right, it was you and me.